Hey, Internet. So, 2 days ago, Cohen Burleson 2 says, can you make a video on how to drag a ball back and release it to shoot it? Well, I guess, for it to like shoot forward. And he says basically it's like the soccer game, Soccer Star, or I guess the pool game Infinite Pool. And I responded, sure. Responded. So, and that is, oh, there's music. Okay. But I do love soccer. I love soccer, so let me see here. What? So you click it in. Yeah, okay. So a little circle. You see the circle just kind of get bigger, and then there's it's clamped in Unity. That's what we call clamp. So there's a restriction, a limit of how far back you can pull it. I'm actually having fun. So, oh, no, no, no. Let me go ahead and try to score a goal before I even start the tutorial. Oh, you guys all saw it. It was real. I made the goal just like I said I would. So let's go ahead and exit this. Alright, let's not make this complicated. Let's just grab an arrow. Is this PNG? It's not this. This here is PNG. Normally you can tell by the background if you right click and hit save as image. So when you right click and hit save as, hopefully you see what it says here, PNG image. And I'm just going to call mine arrow. I'm going to save it right here in my the code and noob folder. Oh, some of these are pretty cool. I'm going to be honest with you. Pretty cool stuff. This one is perfect. Is it a PNG? All right. So it is. Again, just keep an eye on this because it might look like a PNG even though it has like the transparent background here. But then when you try to save it, it comes out as a JPEG, and then it's actually white background. You don't want that. I'm going to name it circle. Save it here. All right. I hate having like it create those stuff for me. I'm going to delete this. Don't need it. And I will actually hit save as. Go back to scene, and I'm going to call this demo. Short and sweet. All right. Very good. So I took a quick little pause, just kind of like brainstorm through this, and since I don't really know the full purpose of why someone needs this tutorial made, I'm gonna build it in a very independent way so that there's so many ways that one can expand upon it. So I'm gonna use a little bit of 2D and a little bit of 3D because after reviewing that game again, I really think there's a mixture between 2D and 3D to accomplish what they did. So first thing I think we need, and this is why I'm going to do it. Let me show you why. So I'm going to have something that follows the mouse constantly, and that would be our first point. So it follows the mouse constantly, and we can pretend that like the color of it is green, and it follows the mouse constantly. And then we can have one that follows this location in the opposite direction. So there'll be this, but it doesn't show up until you click. So whenever you click somewhere and you move your mouse over here, this second one will pop up and do the opposite. So then when I rotate my mouse, I have the same thing happening. And basically this, I can put an arrow there right? And as I bring mine in, this will do that same thing. It will come up here. The arrow will spawn there. So it's like I'm creating a reflecting system for now. So I think I'm gonna start with that. That should be a good point to start. And I thought about making that also a very independent object. So even the arrow and the circle that pops, I'm gonna make that all independent. So if you wanted to create probably prefabs out of them and then use them over and over again with all your soccer players if you're making a soccer game like the one we did. So just for organizational purposes, I'm going to create some folders, prefab, creating mats for material. Let's see. So I think I will start off with a fears and mouse point A. Then I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to have a mouse point B. We're not going to see these things. Turn that off. And let's turn off the collider as well. I'm going to keep them visible, the mesh render visible for now, but we're not really going to see them, if that makes sense. So let's make them even like smaller. So both of them selected. Okay, 0.50, 0.50, 0.50. I can go even much smaller. Let's do a 0.20. Well, it's actually 0.2. There you go. So really small. Let's see. Yeah. And I get to differentiate them. I'm just going to put some mats on them. Point A. Duplicate that, and then this will be point B. So point A, like I had mentioned before, we'll probably just make it green. Why not? And then point B. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Slap that on it, and then slap this on this. So both points are there. It's just hard to see, right? So real quick, folder, scripts. So now we are gonna make a script that makes point A follows the mouse constantly. So inside my script folder, create a new C# script, and I'm just gonna call this mouse follow. Mouse follow is fine. Just drag and drop it on it. Let's open this script up. I'll zoom in just a tad bit here for you. We're not going to do much. We probably don't need this. I don't think I'm going to need the collections, to be honest with you, either. I will need the update and the start. That's fine. So we'll create a private float. Let's get this thing on the road. Private float. It's gonna be like a can't type float. Be like an offset. So yeah, offset sounds good, and that's equal to 0.08. I think. Just just trust me. I have an idea. So transform whatever the position. Let's get the position of this object, and then equal new, as you can guess, vector 3. And what we thrown in there? Well, the transform dot position x, and then the basically the same thing, transform that position, as you can guess, a y, and then finally, the purpose we made it, the offset will be the z. So as soon as the game starts up, boom, that's set. Now the final part of code. Well, we also need something else. We need a vector, another private variable. It's going to be a vector 3. And we'll just call this temp post for temp position. Temp post for temp position. And so we can now say temp post equals, and then we got to get a camera. The camera was at world, screen to world point. Usually when you see this, it's was it input dot blah 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 blah. But again, I am creating a new vector 3, so drop that in there and then do your input. If I can spell it. Yep, input dot get your mouse position X, get each one by one. Mouse position X, and then input. So I find that you run into an issue where as soon as you click, the object just moves to the center of the screen and then nothing happens. This way is the way to kind of like get behind that. And of course, you got X, Y, and now Z. I usually give Z a number of like 10. You can try that, just give it 10. So again, the view that we're gonna be working from is gonna be like a top down, or maybe like a sideway kind of thing. Anyways, so at this point we need to move this object. So transform, if I can type, it would help. IntelliSense, help me. Transform that position, and that's gonna equal now our new, as you can guess, vector 3, and all of our variables are already set up for this. This will be the temp post, okay? So temp post, you got to give it the what? The X, comma, temp post, the Y, sorry, dot Y, comma, offset again, yeah, offset. Offset's going to be used more than once. Offset. Kind of like what we're doing here, but we're just doing it here, in a sense, after some modifications are made to the newer position. So we're replacing these positions with our new mouse position. And really, that is it. So now if I play, nope, object reference not set, temp post. Oh, okay. You might make the same mistake I do, because by default the main camera is untagged. Not sure why that's happening, but yours should be tagged main camera. Don't make the mistake I did. Okay. Yeah, awesome. And that's what we want. Next thing actually is I would like to just have a plain one color background, something not so blue, a little softer on the eyes. There we go. Awesome. So that's what we need. That is perfect. Let's get a player in here, and then so when we click on him, The orange one will now kind of like shows up as that opposite. Just want to make sure that that kind of works. All right, so let's get a player in here. Before we make the player, let's create tags for these because seeing how I was thinking we're making this very independent. Let's call it point A. We're going to be accessing most things by their tags. Point B. And while we're here, like I said, we're going to do arrow as well. And even the circle will be completely independent. We're accessing them via the main controller, which we're going to make here in a second. All right, so with all those nice and complete, I'm actually just going to turn them into prefab so we can use them later into other scenes, right? So, we can't do both at the same time. No problem. We'll do one by one. There we go. So these are all set up. Let's create a 3D object. A sphere, I guess it's fine. Where is it? Oh, there it is. There it is. Let's make it bigger. One. We're going to use this here and see which way is the camera. It's going to call it player. Why not? Tag it as player too. Let me see how it looks. Well, it's not looking bad. I'm gonna make a material for it too. Player. Zoop, zoop. Blue. She's gonna be blue. Yeah. Let's just bring him out a little bit like that. Yeah. All right, so with the player selected, looks like I already have a fish collider on it, which is fine. That is great. I will also need a rigid body. In the rigid body, I'm going to put up some constraints. Use gravity is fine. I might use that as one. So when I play, player is going to fall. Kind of don't want that to happen, so I'm going to put a freeze on, I believe, this. When it comes to rotation, I'm going to do the same. Just those. Let's see what happens here now. He still falls, but that is okay. We will, let's do 0 there. We will fix that in the script. For now, that is actually perfect. All right, we'll turn it off for now, and we'll enable it later. Create a player controller, and this is where the real stuff comes in. So, player controller. Just Unity compiles. It's done. Select my player, put my script on him. I think that's all I need. All my components are there. Everything else looks good. I'm going to open up this component or this player script. So with the player script open, we're going to need a couple of things, and we're going to create them now. So to make things independent, we're just going to use the tags like I had mentioned. So now to access them, we just got to make references. And we're not going to make these references public because these are all going to be like prefab. So they're going to just spawn onto the map anyways, right? So this will be a game object that's private, and I'll probably just call it mouse point A. And as you can guess what I'm going to target with that. And then another one for my mouse point B. So we'll start off with just those. Actually, you know what? We're gonna need what? We're gonna need the arrow, and we're gonna need the circle. Yeah, but I'm gonna. We haven't created those yet, so we're gonna fix those up later. Not sure if I need a start for now, but I will need a awake. I don't think I need a start, to be honest with you. So I might come back to it. If I need it, I'll create it again. I will need an awake. And in the awake, this is where we kind of like hook stuff up. So my mouse point A, we're gonna say equal game object dot. There's a find game object with tag, or find game objects with tag. We just want this one, and then we give it the tag name. Duplicate that. So B point B. And let me see the tag names again. I didn't tag them. I made the tags, but I didn't tag them. So go ahead and make sure it's point A for that one and point B for that one. And when we make the mouse, the arrow and circle will tag those as well. So capital P point A for that one. I think that is good. Oh, I'm going to need something to calculate distance. So float is just fine for this job. Distance. Let's just call it current distance. Yeah, current distance. All right, so now there's a on mouse drag function, right? You have an on mouse down, on mouse up, on mouse drag. And what Unity does is that it's already programmed those to know when you're clicking on something and dragging it. So if you just click anywhere in space and drag, it doesn't trigger off. Only when you click the object with the script and drag, the on button drag is triggered, or the on button on mouse button down is triggered, or when you release it, the on mouse button up is triggered. You see them right here. Very handy, so you don't have to do all your ray casting and all that junk. Those are things of the past, my friend. All right, so my current distance now is going to be what I need. So current distance equals all these vectors that I gotta make today. No. There's a vector 3 dot distance function. There we go. Distance, and then that will be our point A dot transform dot position. Oh, now that. If I could spell position, it would help. Position, and then of course this object's position itself. I was just thinking, let's get the hard stuff out the way, to be honest with you. The easy stuff is, so we'll start, looking at the power and the maximum distance or whatever. So let's actually do that. So I'm going to create another variable. I'm sorry if this is not like all other YouTube videos where it seemed like they prepared ahead of time. I really just dove right into this one. I have a couple of notes that I kind of took at the start. Yeah, that's like a safe space, right? That's a safe enough space. And then another float for like the power shot power. Yeah, yeah, and I might need also a. It's gonna be a lot of vectors, man. A shoot direction. Just for now, we'll have those there in case. Right. So on the drag, we're gonna have this if condition here. So condition is if our current distance is less than, I think, 4 or like, yeah, like 4 or 3 point something. Let's do 3. If it's less than 3, usually you can get away with, I think 3 is good. Our safe space, which is like the safe distance, will then just be current. Okay, because we're still good. We're within the boundaries, guys. Else, um, else obviously we're just gonna make that the same number as this. So what I like to do is I like to use variables. So max distance equal, let's do a 3f, and let's make it public. So we can adjust it later if it's kind of wacky. And then I'll just do this. Boom, boom. Makes sense? Hopefully it does, because it doesn't for me. All right. Let's calculate power and direction. So now our, was it shot power I named it? No, that was shoot direction. Wasn't there a shot power? Yeah. Power. Oh, was it? There's a mathematical equation to get the absolute value from the float. Math F. A collection of common mathematical. I know that, but what is the. Returns the absolute value. Okay, that's the one. Abs. Math abs. And just get the safe space. And we can usually time that by like a 10 or something like that. A 10 or 11, 10? Let's do 10. Dim for dimension x and y equals, and this is where the mouse A point comes in. So the point, the first position, and then divide that by the current position of the object, not the pointer that's following it. Now let's save the difference into difference. I spell that right? Probably didn't, but that's how it's going to say it. And then that just equals the dimension x and then the keyword magnitude returns the length of the vector. Return length of this vector, read only. I won't need square, man. I just need magnitude, to be honest with you. Yep. All right. So then the calculations have been done for A. So mouse point B, which is the other, the red thing, the red spheres that we made out there, we need it to kind of respond to our position now. So its position equals this object's position, right? Plus, we're going to run a small little calculation here between the dimension x and divide that by the difference. But we're not done. So that and plus our, no, we shouldn't plus it. We should actually times it. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. This is geometry and I suck at it. Times this by, I believe, our current distance. Right. So it times it by our current distance and then times it by our current distance and then then you gotta times it by -1, which just basically flips it over to the other side, if that makes sense. -1 always flips whatever you're doing to the other side if you times it. So now the position of this equals, so this basically here we're doing a restraint, okay? Restraint, so it doesn't move outside the boundaries. And now we also got to tell it to follow at a certain distance. So the new position of this is going to be obviously itself dot transform dot position dot x. So giving it first x, then we're going to give it y, and then here's the negative value, the same as I did with this. What was it? Like a 0.8. Let's do it. Negative 0.8 f. Boom. All right, and that should do it. Let's save and test what kind of mess we made, if it even works. Okay. Oh man, I am nervous. Okay, so what's wrong? Power button never used. Yeah, I'm gonna use it later. Play. This is still following me like it should, and if I click on this, it shows up. It goes out. Oh, my restraint isn't working, but if I let it go, click again, I do need it to disappear after I click. But you see what I'm talking about? We click here, it just shows up on the opposite side. So now we have our arrow. So when we stretch it out, it goes out, the mirror effect. Oh man. So to learn all that geometry junk that I just typed, do what I did. Go on Google and type a mirror movement, mirror and a movement, mirror and mouse movement, and then you can somewhat just kind of do it yourself. So you can see if I click out here now, nothing happens. But until I click in the drag and I hold the mouse down, it's following. If I click here, nothing. Okay, but as soon as I let the mouse go, I want it to kind of like disappear again. See how it doesn't show up? And to be honest, it doesn't matter if it's gonna be there, because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have the mesh renderer for both of these turned off. So right now it's still happening. You can see that they're still moving up here in the corner here. They're still moving, but I just have the mesh render off, and that's how it's actually gonna be. But then the arrow will be on, and the arrow will simply be following the position of the orange ball. But this looks cool. This is awesome.